Today's video starts with me manufacturing dirt. I have no actual plan for this dirt. It's just something I would like to keep on hand since every project seems to require some amount of dirt, and it's a very valuable resource where I'm in the middle of the ocean with no real dirt access nearby. Occasionally I run into it underground, but it's just more reliable to go ahead and manufacture it when I don't have a project lined up. This process is done by going to your cobblestone generator or just going down into your mine and spreading as much moss around as you can. Gather up the moss and then put it in a big line. Then go ahead and grow some trees. Once you've bone mealed the azalea trees to full length, the moss block underneath them that they were planted on will turn into rooted dirt. This will only happen with azalea trees, not any other tree species. Something I would actually like Minecraft to change. The azalea trees, after producing rooted dirt, you can then cut them down, gather up the rooted dirt, and then hoe them to produce hanging roots and, of course, dirt blocks. The hanging roots can be put into the bone meal generator to give you back some of your bone meal. So can a lot of the foliage from the trees. A byproduct of this manufacturing process, of course, is a tremendous amount of wood. And now that I have all this wood, it gives me an idea. I gathered up the rest of the dirt and packed it away. As I did this, I noticed I was running a little low on iron. I have been spending a lot on hoppers and other such items. But that is okay. My new project that I'm going to do is going to solve my iron problems. Before I get started on that project, I'm going to go ahead and pretty up a path. This usually happens in between every phase of every project, is me just fiddling with the looks of things here and there. I try to record it and try to keep track of it, but a lot of it gets lost in between. I start by building a dock. This involves me just jumping into the water and building straight up with pillars of wood. It's kind of a waste of wood, to be honest. I think this one stretch of dock is all I'll do it on. After all, you really can't see that deep anyway, so what does it matter? The depth and darkness of the water does give me an idea, however, and I have to fire up the abomination that is the sand generator. I really want to get rid of this thing. Once I have all the sand any human could ever possibly need for any reason, I head over to my furnace room and fire up the furnaces. I'll be smelting down a lot of glass. Alright, I have the glass and it's time to put it in place. I'm not quite certain the water depth I want. I'm thinking 1 block should be plenty deep enough. That way no one will drown, nothing will spawn, nothing can come up from underneath. Just 1 block of water to really control the depth of the area. My hope in all this is to end up with an invisible barrier that kind of prevents the drown from coming up from underneath and bothering things on the dock, and also prevents things on the dock from falling down into the water where I can no longer retrieve it. It also might be neat to put something underneath this dock in its own little air bubble beneath the glass, but that's a project for another day. Well, I'm done with that phase, and I hate it. The normal glass block has these weird white lines, and it's very obvious I put glass down below to control the depth. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. It's ugly and I don't like looking at it. So I grabbed some lapis lazuli, turned it into blue dye, and we're going to try some stained blue glass blocks. If this doesn't work, I'm just going to just scrap the whole idea and go for something else. I don't know what I'm going to do with a bunch of glass blocks in the ocean, but I'll figure it out. So, I start by removing the blocks that are already here, and I pretty much just put the blue glass in place. Oh no. I love the stained glass. It doesn't have those ugly lines, it just looks like normal water. This means I'm gonna have to redo all of this. Oh well, on to it then. Well, it's really not that bad when all is said and done. Since I made a sand duplicator, sand is a renewable resource, and I have it infinitely. It's a good thing I'm not emptying out deserts, though. A mistake like that would have been really costly for a multiplayer server. I also have infinite fuel with infinite lava buckets and infinite bamboo, so I'm not concerned. It'll just be a lot of hard work to put it back. Alright. I love the look of this. Somehow it makes the water look deeper. It doesn't really affect the posts too much, negatively or positively, and I won't have to extend them all the way down to the ocean bed level. It makes the water look bluer and deeper. I like it. The contrast against the normal water, I think this stuff actually looks a lot better. I wish I could do it on a larger scale, but it would just screw everything up, so I won't. But it looks good right here. Alright, I've extended the dock and installed a player check. That's just basically a parkour puzzle real fast to make certain that the only person who can cross over is a player and not an NPC. I've been looking at the dock and its positioning and I'm really liking it. And I've installed a small hut with 2 Fletcher tables and 2 beds. So, I think we all know what steps next. Assuming I can get past the parkour check, that is. It's time for me to get in a little boat and go on an adventure. Last time I was adventuring with Maj and JMac, we did come across a village, and I was able to trade with them for a moment and get a couple of emeralds. That's how I put an emerald on the crown. It's time for me to grab something a little bit more valuable than an emerald from that village, though. At long last, I find land. Sweet, sweet land. Abundant in resources, such as dirt and hogs. And I don't remember exactly what I did between here and the village. Oh well, I'm sure it wasn't all that important. Anyway, moving on to the village. It was made of that ugly tree I didn't like. But that's okay, because I'm not here for their wood. Come here, you. I'm gonna kidnap you. Come here. Well, first I'm gonna take some of their bread, and their emeralds, and this cap. Don't look at me, I'm stealing your stuff. Now get in the boat. Get in the boat. Get in the boat. I really should write free candy on the side. That might make it easier. I waited for one of them to get stuck in the boat, and as soon as one of them did, it was time for our journey to begin. Well, as soon as I figured out that path block was actually slightly lower than grass block and a boat can get stuck in it. Now that that's done, it's time for me to row a boat on solid ground, like a man. I have to make it all the way back to the ocean. And I gotta say, that was quite the epic journey. But don't worry, through the power of video editing, you only need to watch this one scene of me picking up an egg, and several other scenes of me doing nothing in particular. Such as this, where I dig through several blocks of dirt. Yes, yes, my precious dirt. And this, when I am forced to use my precious dirt to make a very small bridge to get from one place to another. No, my precious dirt blocks, I knew thee well. Finally, I made it to the ocean, but the real adventure was the friends I made along the way. These 4 dirt blocks. Once I hit the ocean, I pick up a lot more speed. It's time to go home. The ride home is a paranoid one. I'm as bad as Orpheus. I keep looking back to see if the guy hasn't despawned yet. It's really unnecessary. I can hear him honking every 3 seconds. We have made it to his new home, which happens to be my home. I break through the little sandstone wall and I get the boat in place. I'm going to release him in the waters and hope he's smart enough to walk up to the house on his own and take a bed. I'm hoping that the distance will have broken him from his own village and he'll just accept this new place as a village of his own. This should change the chunk blocks to register as village chunks. I don't exactly know how that works, but I'll know it is working when iron golems and cats start appearing. It's nighttime and I'm still paranoid he's going to despawn, so I'm going to have to spend the night next to him. He hasn't changed his profession yet. That is concerning. I kinda want him to change his profession to a Fletcher so that I have the ability to produce emeralds. And I'm really paranoid about him despawning the second I turn away. So I don't want to go get another one until I can see him change his professions. I forgot to hit the record button on my second journey, and the fact that he was now Fletcher, but that's fine. I kidnapped a child, by the way. I guess the village decided to procreate since I freed up one of the beds. Well, they'll have to do it again. Now I have this guy and this child that I'll have to wait for him to grow up. For some reason, he doesn't exactly know how to use doors, so that's a thing. Either way, he's a Fletcher. I have two of them. It's time to give them some bread so that they can consume food and procreate. And I shall go about my business building more beds and more structures, because I'm fairly confident this now counts as a village. Gotta harvest more trees. I don't want this village to be just one and two wood types. I want it to have a variety of wood types so I have some nice color palette going on. Plus, the constant supply of wood I'm getting from the trees can fuel my emerald farm, along with the bamboo. I went ahead and made this entire row nothing but Fletcher huts. They produce the most emeralds, considering I have a very productive stick farm, and bamboo produces as the fastest crop in Minecraft. So this will be how I generate all of my what the heck? This will be how I generate all my emeralds. Why is this villager different than the others? What mailman came by? Anyway, this will be what generates the wealth for my economy. The rest will be where we spend it. Quick side note, thatchet roofs cost a lot of wheat, and I am starting to regret my love of them. I had to ignore the impulse to make hay bales and instead make a bunch of bread. I'm going to have to feed the villagers if I want them to procreate. I'm not exactly happy about having an entire portside village run entirely by incest next to a mushroom biome. But, whatever, that's the ball life threw me. Alrighty, let's feed some gluten to the mama sisters. There you go. You and your uncle brothers are ew. Wish I hadn't seen that. Alright, let's give them some privacy. I will remind you though, it's not all in the holler. I have no idea where this variant of villager came from. He's a plains village, and they're from the mesa biome, or whatever those ugly trees come from. So I have no clue where this guy came from. I think the traveling merchant might have visited while I wasn't looking. I'm still doing a lot of tree harvesting. It's been enough that it's actually worth it to get a diamond axe. And I've constructed an automated bamboo farm. It's the best way that I can stockpile large amounts of bamboo, especially while doing other projects. It's close by to the village, so I can convert them straight into sticks and sell them for emeralds. I've also decided to get more serious with enchantments. I'm going to start enchanting all of my tools to get the most out of them, especially if they're individually going to be diamond. I'd like to upgrade them to netherite at some point, but that'll be in a future video. The seaside village is really starting to shape up. Got me an iron golem. My iron woes are officially over. Not that it mattered too much anyway. The bamboo industry is booming, and I can always buy equipment now from the local villagers. So, this might be the end of me gathering my own resources outside of doing it for projects. Revving up the economic engine, I've managed to get myself a diamond sword. I also figured out how to kill these iron golems very efficiently for their iron. You just have to use scaffolding. It makes everything easier. Such a wonderful block. The town's looking good. I've tried to label the most expensive items each villager sells right next to their stall. The only problem with this is not all the villagers are leveled up, so most of them are just going to be blank for now. I took the time to tame a cat. I've never done it before, so I figured I'd learn how to do it. I know that you can turn these into a farm for various items, but I'm not entirely certain the pool of items that they'll bring you. Either way, he'll be fine just sitting right by my bed for now. Go on, get on the bed. Alright, just sit there then. I popped over to the nether and found my old leather armor. I had dyed it white for some reason, I'm not certain why. I also decided to switch to iron armor, so all my gold armor can go on the stand too. Eventually, I'll have a set of all of them. The village armorers haven't leveled up yet, so I'm just going to enchant my own iron armor for now. One day I'll put the specific enchantments I want onto books and then arrange my perfect set of armor, but this should do in the meantime. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither will be this village. I'm going to have to evolve it over time, constantly adding and removing things I do and do not like. So, in that sense, this is a project that can never truly be finished. But I think it's time to ask you to like, comment, and subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate you sharing it with others. And for now, I'm going to be saying bye bye.